Okay, hello again. So this is the second Streamlit video. I'm going to assume you've watched the first one about getting a basic web app up and running, first of all just sort of locally on your laptop. And this will be exactly the same, apart from we're going to set up a DigitalOcean cloud server. So we'll see how we do that. So most of what this video is doing is just a very quick let's set up a cloud server, so you can see how it's done. Going to use DigitalOcean. There are other ones like Linode, for example. So these are DigitalOcean and Linode allow you to set up a simple Linux box in the cloud. So let's just launch in. This might be a bit rough around the edges as I just sort of quickly go through. I may forget stuff and then have to sort of correct myself and do things. This is not a rehearsed video. Anything could happen. So DigitalOcean. First thing to say about DigitalOcean is if you're new to it, you're going to want to set up an account. But if you Google DigitalOcean voucher or promo, something like that, you will normally find a link to something that's going to give you $100 free credit. Now, the sort of servers we're going to be using only cost about $5 a month. It doesn't mean you get 20 months free. You get $100 that lasts a month. So it's just to sort of try it out for a month. But anyway, grab your, I mean, if you can't find one, then it's the basic one is $5 a month, and you only pay for when you've actually sort of got one on the cloud at any one time. People don't have to be using it. You're still charged for all of its time that you've got a virtual machine up there. But let's go into DigitalOcean and spin up a web server. So what we're going to do, set up an Ubuntu on DigitalOcean, an Ubuntu machine on DigitalOcean. We're going to download Anaconda into a terminal, because everything's going to be terminal based. And then we're going to grab our web apps, which I'm going to do by cloning the GitHub repo. And then we'll run it, and then that will be generally available on the web. So I'm going to close this one down. Oh, and we'll probably also give it a quick bit.ly a nice name. You could link it to an actual web name if you've registered a web name, but we haven't got a web name registered for this. So let's go into DigitalOcean. Log in. So you need to set up an account. Okay. So you can see I've got what they call their virtual machines. So this is kind of like a computer in the cloud is a virtual machine. They call them droplets. But a droplet is just a virtual machine, which is just a sort of standalone operating system and all the apps that you want with it in a cloud setting. And a cloud is just somebody else's computer, of course. So what we're doing is setting up a virtual machine on somebody else's computer somewhere. You'll need to register. To do this, you may need to register a credit card. So only do this if you kind of want to have a play with it. So I'm going to go into droplets. We'll start from scratch. We'll start a new droplet and install everything that we're going to. And create droplet, create a cloud server. Okay, so you've got a selection of different operating systems here, distributions. You can have pretty much anything so long as it's Linux. but why would you want anything else? So I'm going to use Ubuntu. You can select different versions here, but let's go for the long-term supported 20.04, which was the last one. And I'm going to have a regular, so choose a plan, basic. This is where, if you've got a web app that's really running, you might then want to start to get more, pay for a more powerful one. We're just going to go for basic, and we're going to do regular Intel with solid state drive for $5 a month. So this is just the sort of cheapest machine. And what have we got? We got a gig of RAM, 25 gigs of storage, and a terabyte of transfer a month. If you want to add, so block storage is if you want to, probably if you've got a database, probably you can add that, and I think that's uses Amazon, I think, Web Services for that. Choose a data center region. Well, let's go for jolly old London. VPC network. Don't know. Just leave it. Selected options. Do we want IP6 web address? No. Everybody should be using them, but nobody is. I'm not going to have any of these options. Now, SSH keys aren't required. If it's how the question is how you access the virtual machine from your own machine. Now, you can always do it from this web interface, which is what we'll use today. If you want to pop open your own terminal on your own machine and log in, which we'll probably have a look at, you either need to create a password, or the simplest thing is to use SSH. So if you're not familiar with SSH, I'm not going to get into details now, but we are going to use it to pull down stuff from GitHub. It's secure shell. It's what are called keys, one on your machine, and then you pass another key to somebody else, what's called your public key, which you can share with anybody and everybody. You can paste on the web. It's still perfectly secure. And those two keys talk to each other to say, yeah, I recognise you. You're calling from your laptop. I know you. I'm going to let you into this DigitalOcean droplet from your own terminal. And I have two keys registered with DigitalOcean. If you wanted to generate one, I'm going to assume you're on Linux. I don't know how it works on Windows. I think it will be the same on Mac. You would install SSH if it's not already done. Sudo apt install SSH. It'll say it's already installed. And then you generate a key pair with SSH hyphen keygen, no spaces. Enter the file in which to save the key. It defaults to going into .ssh, so a hidden folder, ID RSA, and it's going to say you've already got one. Do you want to overwrite? I'm going to say no to that. If there wasn't one already, I think it gives another couple of questions. Just hit return, and so that's generated your SSH key. And then if I wanted to find it, I'm going to cd into .ssh, and if I look at what's there with ls, I see three things. You probably won't see known hosts. ID RSA, that's your private key. You never share with anybody. Then I see my public key, ID RSA.pub, and I can see what that is. And it's just a text string, ID RSA.pub. That is my SSH key. So if I wanted to register my SSH key on DigitalOcean, I would copy that and I would say new SSH key. I would paste that in there and I would give it a name, Z41, and add SSH key. Now I'm not going to do it now because I've already got one. But that's how you would add. That will then allow you to log into your machine from your virtual machine from any terminal. But today we'll just use the cloud interface. Oh, where were we? Have I accidentally closed down? I've accidentally closed down where we were. So I'm going to quickly create droplet. Told you it'd be rough and ready. Regular Intel, London, not any of those. I'm going to add in my desktop SSH key. Then finalize. How many do you want to? We're only going to create one droplet. So droplets you can do parallel. You can create hundreds of them, and they can all run in parallel. Choose a host name. Well, that's a really nice host name, isn't it? Not. Streamlit. I'm going to put Streamlit test. Oh, I've got to get another one. Invalid host name because it won't like an underscore Streamlit hyphen test. It says you only use alphanumeric characters, dashes and periods. Dash. Okay, add tags. No, I'm not going to. So most of these just the important thing is make sure you choose a cheap one and not accidentally set up an $80 a month one and leave it running without you knowing. I'm not going to enable backups partly because they're charged. Assigned to a project. Well, I've only got one project on there, which is me. So when you go into DigitalOcean, it'll ask you, do you want to set up a project? And makes you do. I just always have just me as my one project, and everything gets associated with that. Create droplet. Right, and there it is. That's our virtual machine. So I'm going to, oh no, there it is. It's creating it at the moment. We are going to have to update the stuff in there, so we'll do that in a second. I'm going to pause this just in case it takes a bit longer. Oh no, it's going. Sod's law now will hold for ages. There we are. Streamlit test. Oh, what's that? Oh, so if you want, so I'm now being charged for this. From the moment I've created it, I'm being charged $5 a month for it. If I don't want it anymore, I destroy it. So let's go into it. And I only go into console, 8 gigs of memory, 100 gigabytes of disk. I think I've got the wrong kind. Anyway, I'm going to keep going, and because I'm just going to destroy it at the end. But you know, I said be careful, you're not getting an expensive one. I might have got a more expensive one. I'm going to go into console. So this is a terminal for those. I guess console is perhaps more of a Windows thing, is it? Here I am. Now, for those, some basic familiarity with Linux is useful here, or with Unix if you're used to the Mac. But we can do it just by following the instructions I give here. But here we are. You notice we're in as a root user. Now that means everything's got admin privileges. So normally, if you're used to Linux, you might do something like sudo apt update to look for any updates. Because we're in at the root admin level, we just need apt update. So I'm going to check that. It's just going to say what needs to be updated. 110 apt upgrade. Then I can do -y to just give it automatic permission rather than asking me, do you want sure you want to do it? And I will pause it while it does this, because this might take a minute on a new machine. I'm unpausing just because it came up with sort of saying a new version of something is available, but the version installed is currently being locally modified. What do you want to do? I could install the new one, or I can keep the old one. I think both work actually, so I'm just going to click on that, or whoops, let's go down to OK. Ooh, shows side-by-side difference. Anyway, that's carried on. Just say OK to that. Okay, that's that's finished. I'm now going to install some stuff. Then, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to reboot the machine. But let's install some stuff. We're going to apt install. It's probably got it already, but SSH. Git. We're going to use Git to get stuff from GitHub. You can copy files to a virtual machine. If you're used to using Linux or Windows will have something similar. You might have come across the CP command, which is just copy, and you say what file and to where. With Linux, you can just use SCP, secure copy, and then your file location will include your web address that you're sending, your IP address that you're sending it to. But just Google SCP if you want to do it. We're going to pull it down from Git. So we've done the development on our local machine. We push that up onto GitHub. We're going to download from GitHub, I should say. Push that up onto GitHub, and then on this machine we'll download it from GitHub. And then we can sort of keep on pulling new changes if we want to. So I'm going to sudo apt, or I don't need sudo because I'm an admin, apt install ssh git. I'm going to do Tmux. We'll come back to that later. I think that's all we need. You want to carry on? Yeah. Okay, that's that done. Next thing we want to do is install Anaconda. So I'm going to install miniconda, which is much neater to use anyway. I'm a convert to miniconda rather than Anaconda. Same company. It just installs a minimal install rather than Anaconda kind of throws several bazillion packages at you in the base install. Miniconda basically install the base is just a basic environment, a Python environment, and then you create the ones you want. So I need a web link to download. So I'm going to say just Google, or use your favorite search engine, download miniconda. So let's see where we get. Downloading miniconda. See if it's in that one. Here we are, latest miniconda install links. Now I am not going to use the latest. I've learned not to be the latest. I'm going to want to install, the latest will be that one, 3.9. I'm going to install, my base version is going to be 3.8. It's safe. So this is the, that's a window installer. Heavens above, we don't want one of those. Mac installer, Linux installer, 3.9. And we want this basic one up here, miniconda Linux 64-bit. If I right click that, I can copy a link address. Now I'm going to go back into my DigitalOcean cloud here. First of all, I'm going to put it in a directory. You don't have to, but I'm going to do make directory downloads, because it's not automatically there, I don't think. CD downloads. And then to download a file from a terminal, a couple of methods. We're going to use curl, and I think it's curl dash big O, and then I'm going to paste in the web address, and that should download miniconda. Okay, that's done. It's a very light install. So if we look at what we've got now, we've got this miniconda blah 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 dot sh, which is a bash file. To run that, we type bash mini, and then I can tab complete. Yeah, let's read all of this thoroughly and say yes or no. I'm not quite sure what to, but let's type yes. Where do you want it to go? Yeah, in miniconda. That's good. Now it's going to install. Shouldn't take long. Just wondering about whether to pause the video or not. I will, just in case it does take a long time. Oh no, there we go. Right. Do you wish the installer to initialize miniconda by running conda init? Yes, I always give to that. Okay. And that's installed it. That's going to now automatically activate the base environment on startup. Now I've installed all that. I'm going to reboot. Reboot now. Sometimes reboots, it gives 30 seconds delay or something. Console disconnected because I've closed rebooting machine. Just that first update, because it updated so much, it's quite good practice to reboot at that stage. I mean, generally speaking, Linux requires very, very few reboots. And by rebooting, it's also automatically launched us into our base environment. Okay, so we got Anaconda installed, or miniconda. So now we create an environment, and the environment we're going to, this time, we're going to download our Git repository, clone it, and that's going to have an environment file in it which we'll use. So we could do exactly what we did last time, sort of conda create an environment, then add stuff, but we'll download the environment, download the Git repository, and then use the environment file there. So to work with Git, I need to kind of create an SSH key, because we're going to use SSH to do it, and then put that SSH key in my GitHub account. So for this, I am assuming some basic use of that you've done some basic use of Git and GitHub, but I think I should be able to include everything you need to do. So I'm going to generate the SSH hyphen keygen. Sometimes I say hyphen, sometimes I say dash. It's the same thing. Don't think I'm meaning two different things. SSH key, and then I just hit return, hit return, hit return, and that's generated. So I go cd.ssh to get to where my SSH keys are. So this is like the last video. If I look at what's in there, and then cat id rsa, and then I want the public key. That's my Streamlit SSH key. So I'm going to go to GitHub, and I need to register that SSH key. I'm logged into GitHub, so log in if you haven't, or create a user account if you haven't got one. I'm going to go down to settings, SSH and GPG keys, new SSH key, and I'm going to copy that in. The title, I'm going to call it, because just to remind myself, I need to remove this. You don't actually need to add a title. If you don't add a title, it will automatically use the end bit Streamlit test. I'm going to call it temp Streamlit, just so I can make it clear to myself to get rid of that after I've done this demo. Add SSH key. Okay, temp Streamlit. So I've got an SSH key in there. Right, let's go back. I'm going to find the repo. I'll put the repo link in the comments below, so because it won't be in your GitHub account, but you need to go and register your Git. You need to register an SSH key. Streamlit examples, that's the one. Okay, so I'll put this link in. So you go to that, go to the green code button, which is really weird because why they call it code, but anyway, and we're going to clone it using SSH. You can download it. No, don't do that. Use SSH. I'm going to copy that. And here I will do, let's just go back to my root directory because I'm in .ssh, cd, you can either do cd tilde. Oh, that's weird. Things aren't in the right place on this keyboard. In that case, I'm just going to do cd, which automatically takes you right back to your root. And then SSH clone, and then this text which I copied. And with a bit of luck, this will work. Dun, 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 dun. Ah. Let me have a look at that. Oh, SSH clone. Oh right, that's git clone. Let's try using the right commands. It's a git command. Git clone. So, it didn't work last time. Fingers crossed. So perhaps it won't this one. Git clone. Okay, cloning in. Are you sure you want to continue? Yeah. And there we go. So, if we look at our directory now with ls, we can see we've got a folder called 2109 Streamlit examples. So that's how, let's go into that, tab complete, dc cd 2109, and if we have a look, here we've got our basic examples, our Streamlit ed, and our Streamlit environment.yaml. So this is another, if we have a look at that, catlit Streamlit environment.yaml, here it is at the bottom. We've got its name. It's going to create an environment called Streamlit. It's going to go and look in Anaconda first for any packages. Then it will look in Conda Forge, which is more community driven places. So some things are available only in Conda Forge, not in the main Anaconda. And these are what we're going to want to install. Jupyter Lab, not that we're going to use that. Matplotlib, NumPy, going to update pip, that will update it. Pandas, I think it updates it. Python, if you don't put Python, it'll automatically install Python, but it will look for the latest version it can with everything compatible with each other. But I'm going to specify Python 3.8. Scikit-learn we're not actually using here, but it will install it anyway. SciPy, Spider we're not going to use because you can't use a GUI in the graphical user interface in the cloud. And using pip, it's going to install SymPy and Streamlit. So we do conda environment create from a file -f and then streamlit env.yaml. And pause it while it does that. Okay, that took a couple of minutes. So we now have, so if we do conda env list, we should see we've now got our base environment and we've got our Streamlit environment. So conda activate Streamlit, okay. And this is just like in the last one, except we're now running on a Pucker server rather than your own computer. Mind you, so there's a key difference between Linux and Windows. All Linux distributions can act as full proper web servers, so you can use your laptop as a web server if you wanted to. Not that you recommend it. Whereas Windows, they sell something separate at a horrendous price called Windows Server. But nobody uses Windows Server. Everybody uses Linux for the web. So this is So let's do the Streamlit ED model. So we do Streamlit. I've activated the environment. I normally forget to do that. Streamlit, run, and it's, which one is it? It's Streamlit ED model. Streamlit ED model. The tab complete is only taking it up to a particular point because there's two names that begin with Streamlit underscore E, and then I put the next letter, tab complete again, and it does the right thing. So, dun, 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 dun. That's it. This is just like before. So this is our terminal, our web address. So I'm going to copy that, external URL. So this is now, even though I'm looking at a terminal, so that it looks like on my computer, it's not. This is up in DigitalOcean. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that in here, and here is our model. There we are. That's it. And this is up and running. Now this terminal is kind of blocked by this app. Now you can close the terminal down, I believe. So you could do either, well, you'd normally use Control D to shut down a terminal, and it should leave it open running, but it's kind of blocked for anything working. But let's do Control D. No, that doesn't work. So it would be closing that down there, I think. Yeah. Now, I've closed down that terminal console. This app, oh no, it's shut it down. Okay. So I'm going to go back. Let's show how you can leave a. This is why we install something called Tmux, which we'll look at now. Console. So you could just leave that running, connecting to droplet. Okay. You can see the terminal there. It said, I just noticed it's using SSH, so it's picked up my SSH key from my computer and allowed me to open it straight away. The alternative would be to put a password in for the user, but I used SSH. SSH is more secure than passwords, because there are machines that just store millions of passwords and just repeatedly try to hack into anything that you can find open on the web. Okay, so we're going to want to run, well, what we're going to want to do is go into our folder, CD21. We're going to want to, I'm just using the up key to get things I've typed before because it's lazy. Activate Streamlit. Now, so I would do the Streamlit run if I wanted to run it again, but I'd end up in this locked up terminal again. So what we're going to do is create a terminal that we can then kind of just have running in the background, and I'm going to do that with Tmux. Now I'm in a Tmux terminal. Now you wouldn't really know that, apart from you might recognize people who use Tmux. You can kind of see stuff down here. You can have multiple ones of these. There's a whole lot of things you can do with Tmux. You can divide this up into multiple little terminals itself, or let's have a look. What we're going to do is we're going to start our app and then close down, well, not close down, kind of hide this terminal. It's going to be running in the background. And then if you want to look for more Tmux, just do Google Tmux cheat sheet or something like that. But I just typed Tmux to get to this point. I'm going to run my app. No, I'm going to activate my environment. I'm going to run my app. Am I in the right place? Yeah. Okay. So external URL, so copy that. Is it the same as before? 93, it probably is. There we are. Okay. Now with Tmux, I can do Control B and D, just kind of remember that, that is now what's called detached. It's running in the background. So now I can close down this terminal, Control D, close, and this is now still running in the background. So Tmux is quite handy for that. And it means I can be doing other stuff on that terminal and my process is running in the background. So it's also quite handy for running multiple models and stuff. You can use Tmux, get them running and then hide it. Also stops you accidentally closing it, which happens to me a lot if I just have things in a normal terminal. So if we go back to DigitalOcean, go into console, you can have multiple Tmux sessions. We've only got one. Tmux-A is Tmux attach. It will open the one that's already existing. No, it's not -A, it's just Tmux-A. There we are. That's still running. So if we wanted to close it at this point, we would Control-C, shut it down. If we wanted to close the actual web app. But to get down to Tmux again, we just do Control-B, detach, and it's running in the background. That's basically it. That's now running, and I'm going to destroy this droplet now. Let's just do quick one more thing, because we've got this web address, which isn't incredibly user friendly. So this is quite a handy thing to use Bitly for. So we go to Bitly, register on Bitly if you need to. Oh, it's already logged in because I'm an account. Create an account. So what we would do is put in our URL, which is our IP address up here. So if you've got if you registered with if you want to register a web name, GoDaddy's a good place to do that. You can then, through GoDaddy, if you're using GoDaddy, then kind of link this to your web address. But I'm going to just create a quick Bitly one. Enter your long URL, which is just where you want to go to, create, and then I can change it will come up automatically with something that isn't user friendly. So this could be anything you like. First web app. It's just a name that means something to other people. Link has been edited. Where's it gone? Oh, there. Bitly, first web app. So if I copy that, and then instead of sending people a meaningless series of numbers, you can say go to Bitly. You don't need, you can just don't need to send them the HTTPS. Bitly first web app, and with a bit of luck, that takes us where we want to go. My model. That's it. So that's DigitalOcean. Well, let's just go and destroy that droplet now. So this is my DigitalOcean thing here. I'm going to Control-D to close. Go to DigitalOcean Streamlit test. I'm going to go back to droplets. Yeah, I chose quite an expensive one. Should always check you're getting the right one. Most web apps, you don't need, use the absolute minimum specification you really need. And then I am going to, on this one, Streamlit test, I'm going to destroy it. Destroy this droplet. And this is the one that I've kind of left running, which is the same web app that I can send people the link to. Okay, hopefully that gets you started. Have a go. go with it. DigitalOcean's good. Linode. There'll be other ones. I would certainly, to begin with, and I avoid it totally. You know, anything like Amazon Web Services, web servers or web services is much more complicated to use. So if you're used to using a Linux machine, especially, then DigitalOcean and Linode, it's just creating a Linux machine on somebody else's computer, and then all your normal Linux magic in the terminal works just fine. Okay, thank you. Have some fun with it.